I was thinking that we would just talk about our experiences in Europe, like all the cute
Okay.
guys that we met.
I know. They're
That's
all
what you.
wonderful.
That's what you usually talk about when you talk about your tales in Europe. All the cute Italian guys you met. No, but you lived in Europe for what, like a year?
No, I spent a summer there in college, and I spent a little over a month in high school. So combined, it was like I don't know 5 or 6 months
In Germany, right?
in Germany.
How
So
was that?
the first time was like outside of Frankfurt, in a small little. I literally lived in a small little village called Niederklein. Shout out Niederklein. um, but it's outside of Butzbach, which is the bigger city. And I was just like foreign exchange. I was like one of the American kids in school there. And then I went in college during college with Rutgers University in Duke. They had an exchange program in with the Technische Universität Berlin, so the technical university in Berlin. And I spent the summer semester there. It was dope. I love Germany. It was my major in college, but it was super cool.
Do you speak German at all?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I hope I do. um,
You do
no, I've
speak
been.
German. I've never heard. There's never been an opportunity while both of us were together where you had to throw out some German.
I mean, there's hardly opportunities to speak German in general here in the States, but I do want to take that back. So speaking German is like one of the fun facts that I'll say, at a company when I just start, right? But I just started a new job that's founded by Germans, and a lot of the people that work there are German. So it's like not cool anymore that I speak German. It's just normal.
Well, they're not impressed that an American knows German.
um, I feel like Germans wouldn't be impressed, would be slightly impressed that an American knows German, but the fact that I know German is just like most Europeans know more than one language anyway. So it's just like whatever.
So, yeah, that's why we won World War II. So Americans don't have to learn other
So we don't
languages.
have to learn your
We
language.
basically, I mean, we really do have to thank the British Empire and the U.S. Empire for not having to learn other languages.
Yep, yep. And then now we can do it as a hobby or like as a side project instead of like as a necessity. Can you
The vet,
imagine in like 50 years we're all going to need to learn Chinese?
hey, I mean, I don't think that will happen, but I mean, it's a possibility. Everyone has to learn English. Like,
Yeah,
so I was in Amsterdam, and I was at this bar, and everyone speaks English in Amsterdam. Everyone
yeah,
speaks English
perfectly
in
too, with
Holland
a weird accent,
perfectly.
but just perfectly. Yeah.
Well, the accent in Holland is more American sounding than British
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
or even German, but they get these one. They only get a couple of words wrong. Like they'll
Or like the way
pronounce
they
swimming
pronounce it.
schwimming. They'll be like,
Schwimmen?
hey boys, how are you? You guys want to go swimming? And then it will just
Yeah.
on certain words it will just completely come out, and it's kind of funny.
I was
But
I asked this girl for her cell phone number.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. But it's
I went to Amsterdam too. I noticed that also, but obviously they speak Dutch there in the Netherlands, and Dutch and German on paper looks pretty similar, but spoken is like fucking weird to me. Total disclaimer for anyone who's Dutch or speaks Dutch. Like, no offense or anything like that. I just think it's one of the funniest sounding languages I've ever heard. It's hilarious. Doodly doodly doodly. I took like a red I took like a red eye from Berlin to a red eye train, that is, from Berlin to Amsterdam while I was there, just for like a weekend, hang out with the boys and stuff. And um, halfway through, when we switched over to the Netherlands, like they switched conductors, so they also did an announcement in Dutch, and it literally woke me up. That's how funny I thought it was. I just like woke up laughing.
That would, it was definitely like, we are now landing.
I got this one picture from a McDonald's because I was like poor as shit when I was in Amsterdam, so I was eating McDonald's almost every day. And the trash can, thank you in Dutch is dank you.
Thank you.
Dank u.
Dank u. The reason why they speak such great English there is because they watch American television without
Really?
subtitles. Yeah, that's why in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, and in Scandinavia, at least in Sweden, I think in Denmark as well, they consume American media without subtitles. I mean,
Hmm.
without language
Without
dubs.
dubbing. Yeah, yeah.
So they'll have subtitles, but I guess, and that's probably mostly for the old people who don't know it. But
Too lazy to
they
learn it
will
yet.
have to. They will just, if you watched German television every single day and in German with American subtitles, you
Yeah,
probably pick it up after a while. And they also take
yeah.
English classes like when they're 5. Like that's when they start learning English, and
Like,
they
I feel like
talk to each
most
other.
Europeans start that shit
And,
pretty early.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and Europeans are traveling more from country to from they're traveling from border to border more so than Americans. So they're
Sure, especially with the European Union and their open border policy there. Yeah.
yeah. So it's just there's more opportunity to speak English because if you're a German going to France, then I mean maybe I'm wrong about this. You can correct me. You probably have more insight, but I'm assuming that they'll most likely speak English to each other if they need to communicate
I mean, I
rather
imagine,
than
especially in business. In business, I know that this is like more common. I don't know about like just in regular life, but if you were a German going to France and you were working in France, the common language would probably be English, or vice versa. Although German and French, I think like a good amount of Germans and French people know each other's languages. But yeah, I think English is typically like the default language. I know that don't they do their the EU Parliament or whatever? Isn't that in English, right?
yeah, that's all in English. I mean, I was in Brussels. Everyone speaks English in Brussels, but I
Hmm.
mean, again, they have to. Like that's where the EU headquarters is. When I was going to eat, when I went to Brussels, my expectation was it was going to be a backwater, like fringe, weirdo European town that was full of I'll just say it, like no go zones and stuff like. It wasn't like that. We didn't go. I didn't go into any areas in Brussels that I felt unsafe at, but there was a degree of shadiness in Belgium, or at least in Brussels, where I had my friend lived there for a year, so I went to go visit him, and when I went there, my friend wasn't even there. His friend, I met him in Amsterdam like the day later, but my first day in Europe, his oh, fucking siren. You can hear that pretty well, don't you?
Yeah.
Whatever. We'll figure this out. Um, we'll keep this in the video, but we'll edit it out of the podcast. But so when my friend was there, um, she like showed me around, and she was like, we walked down this one. We walked in this one neighborhood, and she told me, "It's like be really, really careful. There's some guys who are tailing us. Don't go to an ATM machine because they will rob you if you go to an ATM machine out in public." And I'm like, "What? Like, are you serious? Like, I just see a bunch of goofy French people everywhere. Like, they're not gonna hurt you." I didn't even like Brussels has a bad reputation of being like filled with like a lot of migrants from the Middle East. I
Uh-huh.
didn't really notice it. I noticed a couple, but not.
All right,
I guess I didn't walk into those neighborhoods.
but did you notice gypsies though?
I
Really?
I noticed a lot of gypsies in Prague.
In Prague? There's a ton of
Prague.
gypsies in Berlin, like a lot of them. And it's
I
funny
didn't see
because
any
they
gypsies
speak.
in Berlin.
Really? I saw
No,
so many of
I
them.
only
And
saw gypsies in Prague. Prague was the only place where someone tried to pickpocket me.
mm, well, I mean, I don't mean to say like I saw gypsies as in the sense that like I was almost robbed. I'm just saying that there are a lot of Roma people all over Europe, but particularly in Berlin, there was a lot of them. And I would go to the to school, and there'd be a bunch of them around, and they would hold up these cards, right? And they would approach you, and they obviously try and stereotype it. Like if you look American, they'll try and speak English to you. So I speak English, obviously. Uh, and I spoke German, so I couldn't get away with saying "Oh, ich verstehe dich nicht," because they speak German too. So I try to go with the Spanish route, like "Oh, no te entiendo, lo siento," like. And then she spun the card around, and it's in Spanish, and I'm like, God damn it! Like just asking for money, of course, but I thought it was pretty funny.
Of course. Yeah,
They got all their
there's a lot of
bases
gypsies.
covered.
Yeah, the homeless. I mean, gypsies are homeless, right?
I don't think they're homeless. They're migratory. It's different. They don't have like a set home. I guess you could consider that homeless on like the most literal sense of the word, but I don't. They're traditionally like migratory.
They're like homeless in California. Then they're not like New
What,
York homeless. They're like California homeless,
living out of the car?
living out of the car and living out of tents because the weather's nice, so they won't freeze to death. Um, yeah, but I noticed a lot of them in Prague, and it got really dicey in one situation. Some lady came up to me and she's like, "Hey, any of you boys have a light?" And my buddy was like, "No, walk away." And I like turned around and like she was probably about 15 feet away from me, a good 15 feet away from me. Within a second, she was 2 feet away from me.
Just like bent space and time to get your
She
wallet.
bent, in Dragon Ball Z when
Yeah,
Goku learns the
he
ability to
does a
like,
yeah
yeah,
instant transmission. Hell yeah.
that's what she did. And then I just start feeling hands everywhere on my body, like just like it was more than two hands. It was like five hands going down my pants, and I was like slapping. I started slapping my jeans like it was like a whack-a-mole. And then my other friends like, get away, get away, get away. It was really funny. She didn't get anything, thank God. She went down the wrong pocket, but
Lady,
I
that's not a
never.
pocket.
I thought that like going into Europe, I really thought that I wouldn't get pickpocketed. I didn't get pickpocketed, but it was a very close call. But I thought, being a New Yorker, I was street smart enough to avoid any situation like that. But man, they strike you very hard.
Well, I
Those
mean, they
gypsies,
got they have the home turf advantage,
those
So
gypsies are really good. Maybe there was two of them.
maybe,
Maybe there was three of them.
maybe it was just one, but she was just moving so quickly it seemed like more than one.
Wait, in Europe they have witches, right?
I don't know. Everywhere has witches, technically.
Oh, I thought it was just Europe. Oh
Nah,
yeah, they
man.
came over.
There's like a
No,
store in
America.
Bushwick that
We
we
killed all of
we
our
burned them all.
witches. We
Not all
killed
of
all of our
them.
witches. Haven't you seen the Crucible?
I mean, no, but I'm aware of the Salem witch trials.
Yeah,
So
we did it right. The United States, again, outdoing Europe. We killed our witches right when they got off the boat, and Europe never killed their witches, or they didn't kill enough of them at least. So
nah, man,
they have
witches
a
are
witch
still
problem.
witches are still a thing, man. Like there's this one witch store in Bushwick that I go to every now and again to buy rocks, like crystals and shit. And they always ask me like, "Oh, what are you trying to like, heal or solve?" And I'm like, "Lady, I just like rocks. This one
Come
looks cool."
back. I have a child's heart.
They got some interesting shit in there, like the penis bone of a coyote and like the wing of a bat.
There's a difference between a witch and a shaman,
Yeah, yeah,
and a witch and a juju man.
and a witch and a witch doctor.
A witch and a witch doctor. I don't know which one is worse, but I guess Europe is just very very strange. The differences are
Yeah,
very subtle, but they're also very extreme at the same time.
I agree. I think it's just like how Europe is set up. It's like Europe is pretty small, in comparison to like I don't know the United States, for example. Like imagine if we're in New York now. Imagine if you crossed the Hudson and went into New Jersey and they spoke a completely different language. Well, I mean, I guess technically they kind of do speak a different language in New Jersey, but you get what I'm saying. Like a completely different language.
They speak retarded in New Jersey.
Hey! I'm from New Jersey. They don't speak retarded. Anyway, like imagine if you just cross state lines here in the United States, and it's like a completely different language and like a very different culture and like a different, a different history. Like a very very different history. Um, I think that's what makes the dynamic of Europe so interesting and also so intriguing. just because, hop, skip, and a jump away, and you're in a completely different country,
Yeah, it's weird like that. I just found Europeans kind of strange in general, especially so. I'll be honest. A lot of the people everyone I dealt with was really nice. I didn't deal with any
Yeah,
assholes while I was
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Um, I dealt with a lot of really, really loud, obnoxious British people.
Interesting. Louder than Americans?
Way louder,
Huh.
way louder. They weren't your the British people that you see here in America.
You mean
When
like
they come
soccer
here for
hooligans or something like that, right?
yeah, the British people who migrate over to New York are usually coming here for some type of job. So they speak, oh, hello, my name is Nigel and I'm here for my job at Goldman Sachs. So I came here from the School of London. Like they speak, like the
They
proper,
speak proper.
they speak the proper.
They speak the proper English.
In Amsterdam, all there was, they outnumbered everyone. I guess the guys from the outskirts, the lads from Liverpool and places like that, or from East London. That's where they have like the really
West
strong
Wales.
West Wales. Are you a fucking sheep shaggy? Hey,
You fucking what, mate?
are you fucking sheep? Hey, can I use your toilet? Oh, piss off, you fucking cunt! The way they curse more than anyone. Like I've never met a group of guys who have the worst tongue. Like there's everything they say. Like all the British guys are super cool. Like they're really really fun guys to hang out with. But Jesus, they would be speaking in a different language sometimes. They'd be like, "Hey mate, hey you fucking faggots, hey you want to get over here and get some fucking me and my mate just wanted to get a quick pint, and you're gonna be letting me my mate say it." Like just speaking so quickly, every sentence says it like
That's
every,
that
they can't
Cockney.
go.
Yeah.
They can't. Yeah, the Cockney accent. Like every
Yeah.
5 words, there's a curse.
Yeah.
And I was talking to this bouncer in Amsterdam, and I was just what's the worst crowd? Like what do you like when they walk in your bar? Like what's the most annoying group to work with? He's like I hate stag parties. Like there's nothing worse than a stag party. Like a stag party is a British bachelor party.
Yeah.
And he's like, they come in here, they're so loud, they're so obnoxious, they start singing, they start fighting, they can't. And that, meanwhile, as we're talking about this, this kid just comes to give his ID or whatever. He's like, "Come in, my mates, get in here for a fucking pint." Just like drunk, just just cross-eyed and just slouching, like, "Can me and my mates just come in here real quick to see if there ain't fucking any girls and all? My mate's horny as fuck right now." Like, just speaking like he sounded like he was retarded. I'll be completely honest. And the
Gotta
bouncer
chill
is
with
like,
that R word, bro.
I know, well, whatever. And the bouncer was like, he's like, "Can you English guys go one sentence without saying a curse word?" And this bouncer was a huge black guy who was super intimidating. And he was just like, "Can you say one sentence without saying a curse word?" And he's like, "Oh, piss off then." Dude, I feel like in Europe though, their style is behind America, or at least I don't want to say British guys, because British guys, or at least the British guys in the U.S. who we bump into from time to time, they all dress like they're David Beckham. You know what I mean? Like they all dress like in a very preppy way, and they always have pea coats and nice scarves on. Like you can almost instantly spot a British guy in America by how well they dress, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. And they can spot us real easily in all of Europe.
Yeah. I once spotted these British guys. This was in New York. I passed these British guys, and I heard them over say, "What? It's like, why do Yanks never tuck in their shirts?" But the guys in Amsterdam, the guys on the stag parties, they dressed like they were like 7 years in the past. Like they were
That's
wearing
crazy.
what we wore when we in like 2011.
Like FUBU hats and like baggy
Yeah,
pants.
especially not actually. I'm actually incorrect on this. This is more of this was a big group of Northern Irish people
Okay.
of Northern Irish
The
who
Northern Irish.
who I met, and I can't even replicate their accent. It wasn't quite British. It wasn't quite Irish. It was actually not a very appealing accent. I'll be completely honest. However, I mean, this is just one group of guys. Not to say that all Northern Irish people suck.
I mean, the majority of
But
this conversation is a giant stereotype anyway, so let's just make that disclaimer now.
This group of Northern Irish guys, they sucked. So, I was in this bar in Amsterdam. My friends are all being really, really loud, and we're all just being dickheads. And these group of girls come to us, and they're from I think they were from Switzerland, and they were like, oh, we were going to talk to you, but we thought you were British, so we didn't want to talk to you. And I was like, what? It's like, why did you guys think we were British? And they were like, it's because you guys are loud and obnoxious. Exact words. Like, we thought you guys were British because you were loud and obnoxious.
Oh man.
So I was like, no, we're not British. We're not British.
And we're just loud and obnoxious because we're American.
Yeah, we're Americans. Americans can't be loud and obnoxious. And so a group of guys like who were next to us, it was a big group of guys. They were all from Northern Ireland. They overheard that. And I guess they missed part of the conversation, and they were hammered. And one of them comes up to me, and he's wearing I think it was like a Pokemon hat, but it was backwards.
Okay, so he was about to catch a Pokemon.
He was wearing a bat. It might have been like a Squirtle on it or some shit like that, or Elmo or it was something like that no adult should ever wear. And it was fitted, and he had like baggy jeans and a really big white shirt. He looked like he was dressing like Allen Iverson in 2005. And
swimming in his clothes.
Yeah, swimming in his clothes. And he was like, "Oh, hey!" And he comes up to me and he gives the old shake. And then I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure." And I go to give him a handshake. I thought, as in tradition, and he pulls his hand away, and he's like, "Whoa!" And he starts
he too slow to you?
Yeah, he's like, and he walks away. He walks away to his group of friends, and they're all high-fiving each other. And I'm just like, that was bizarre. My friends are all like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Did he just say, and it was very bizarre. So I went up to the guy and I was like, what was that? Like, what did I do to you? Why did you pull the psych on me? Because that's what he did. He pulled the psych on me.
He was
I
too
didn't
slow.
do anything to you. I didn't do anything to you. Like, I thought you were trying to shake my hand and you're just being an asshole. Like, what's the deal with that? I wasn't being like abrasive or aggressive. I was just asking him why he was
just
being
curious, right?
And he's like, "Oh, I thought you boys were British. We fucking hate British." And I was like, "What?
You sound British."
And no, he was up north. I can't do the Northern Ireland.
Okay.
I thought I can't do that accent. So they're all just British accents to me. So and I'm like, "No, we're Americans. Like, we're all from New York." And they're like, "Oh, we're sorry. We didn't mean to offend you. We just hate the British when we come here." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, you guys are fucking losers." Yeah, that was my only experience with Northern Irish people. They dressed like 13-year-old posers, and they sucked. But all the British guys are super, super fun. Who we hung out with in Amsterdam. They were all just really loud. Like they just were the type of guys who were like, "Oh, come on, mate, get over here and take a fucking shot, you fucking twat." You know what I mean? Just cursing and
fun for a night, maybe not for like your life.
Half the time you couldn't understand what they were saying, but they were all fun guys. Like, "Oh, you cunt!" Like the word "cunt" was used so aggressively.
No, it's like a term of endearment. It's a term of endearment, honestly. Like I have a friend who's Australian, and he says "cunt" like way too much, like way too much. But it's like normal for them.
Yeah, it's normal. Oh, come on, you cunt! Hey, he's a fucking cunt. They say it in a they say it hard though. It's a hard cunt.
It's a hard T, cunt.
It's very, very hard T. But yeah, I mean they're cool. Amsterdam people are cool as well. They're all really, really, really nice.
Yeah, I noticed that
They're
too.
all just like super nice, normal, and cool. Like I would, if you were gonna teleport me to a place to live, I feel like I'd want to live in Amsterdam if I had to go to a place in
So
Europe.
like Amsterdam was like super beautiful during the day, and then at night it gets kind of like creepy. Not like scary, but like creepy because like all their buildings are lumpy and like they lump into each other, and their alleyways are super cramped together, and that's just like a normal street for them. And of course, there's the red light district. Because one time I was offered heroin just like nonchalantly on the street by this one random dude, and he was just like, "Would you like to buy some heroin?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Okay,
Hey,
have a nice night." And I'm like,
would you like some heroin? Would you like some
I've got some heroin. Just give me your cell phone number.
But yeah, it's I'm not even talking about the red light district. Like if you were going to throw me
Yeah,
in like
no, of course.
suburban area of Amsterdam,
Yeah.
I'd rather
Like
go
Harlem.
there. I wouldn't want to live in London. I've never been to London.
I've only ever been to the airport in London.
Yeah,
So.
I've never been to London, but I don't know. I mean, it probably would be the easiest culture fit because people from England now are all like fat Americans anyway. Now they're like, I think they're pretty close to the fattest country in the world, or very. If they have not passed the U.S., then they're on the verge.
We're the title holders for that. We're winning. We always win on that one.
Dude, the British are right behind us when it comes to obesity.
I'm sure, but we're always going to win.
If they haven't,
don't take this away from us.
If they haven't passed us yet, the British are very close to Americans in obesity. If they haven't passed, I don't think they have passed us, but they're close. They're a fat country.
PHAT, fat.
Yeah, they're a fat country. I just couldn't deal with them driving on the wrong side of the road.
No, dude, that's cool. I did that shit in Barbados.
A bunch of degenerates.
I did that shit in Barbados. In Barbados, when I went to Barbados, I drove on the wrong side. It was pretty interesting.
That's why we had the American Revolution, because we wanted to stop driving on the wrong side of the road. That was in the original Declaration of Independence.
Life, liberty, and driving on the right side of the road.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, Britain. I mean, yeah, whatever. Britain. Fuck you guys from Britain. I'm joking. So, what was the other thing?
I just wanted to talk about this one bit, because we're talking about how Europe is weird, and we talked a lot about languages and stuff. And on the way, home from work today, I just like popped on a couple of videos, and I forget the guy's name. Maybe I'll try and link it in the YouTube video here. But he was talking about Italian stereotypes, and obviously the most pervasive Italian stereotype is this. The hand gesture, right?
Bippity boppity boo.
And he had a really funny video, and it was like really well produced and stuff like that. But he actually spoke to some, like experts from Italy, like in Italy, to like try to figure out what the hell does this mean, and evidently there are a ton of other hand gestures that Italians use that have codified meanings. Like the one that stuck out to me that was hilarious was, obviously this is it. What it kind of means is like, what are you doing? Like, what is he doing? What is she doing? What's up with that? Right? That's what they use. One hand. It's never two. It's just one. The other one that they do that stuck out to me, and I've never seen this before. Tell me if you see this. What do you think this means? So I'm doing what looks like the rock and roll symbol. It's not vagina, but you're not far off either.
It's like a bird, a girl.
It means, if you do this to someone, it means your wife is cheating on you.
It must happen a lot.
I was dying, and the one the guy who did the video, who was just like, so like, what happens at a rock concert if everyone's doing this to you? Does the singer go like, what? She's what? She's cheating on me? But evidently it's like when when the Greek, here's some history for our bro history podcast. When the Greek,
I was about to say something fucked up. I'm going to
Well,
say it.
what
That's how
hit
Kurt
me?
Cobain died.
Oh shit! No, too soon.
No, we're
Don't
past
hit
the
me with
statute
that
of
Courtney
limitations
Love.
on that.
Don't hit me with that Courtney Love. Anyway, back to the history portion of it. When the Greeks came over, like long time ago, and conquered Italy and settled there, obviously they spoke Greek, but they also gesticulated, which is, I think I'm using the word correctly, which is like to use your hands to speak. Um, and that was pervasive. The language didn't stick because eventually it became Italian or Latin and then Italian. But the symbols, the hand symbols, stuck around. So that's actually where they get a lot of that from. So you can blame the Greeks for the this, the hand symbol.
It's like they're monkeys. It's like they're chimps. You know how chimps have different like movements. I think it's more like so sounds. Yeah, there's a lot of Italian stereotypes. My favorite Italian stereotype is my girlfriend's Italian, so I got to tread lightly. The hair on the
hair on the
hair on the lip, the hair on the lip, or the 35-year-old man who lives with his mom.
40. Yeah,
it's like a thing. It's like a thing in Italy or on the East Coast as well. Like Italian guys love their mama.
It's economical to live with your mama.
It is,
and you get all the best food. I can't hate on that.
My mama. Hey, so I've been having a problem. Mama hasn't been buying the right raviolis nowadays, and now I'm thinking about moving out. Well, there's one thing. I'm going to miss it too much. I just need to find a broad who can cook me some pasta just like the old country used to do. No, the Italians are very funny. All right, I want to go to Germans now.
The Germans.
The Germans, because
they are my favorite. They are my favorite to talk about. Yes.
My girlfriend's coming soon, and she's going to yank me out of here. But the Germans are by far the hardest Europeans to read.
Yes, they are
very hard to read. You never know if they like you or not.
Yes, and they're super direct as a culture. So they'll say something to you, and it sounds fucking mean, but they're just talking to you. They'll be very direct about it. We're like, your hair is messy, and you're like, what? Okay. And they're just bluntly, very matter of fact, tell you something, and it's crazy. It's hard because you don't know if they dislike you and they're being assholes, or that's just how they are. They're very direct.
They are very direct, and it has to be annoying. Something I noticed in Berlin was that, and I was in all the tourist parts, so it's not probably everyday Berlin. However, like, there's like 1 million walking tours going on a day.
Yep, and biking tours.
That have walking tours and biking tours about Nazis.
Yeah, that's a thing.
So every single day, the people who at least commute and work around these areas, you have some loudmouth guy. Usually they're British. All the guys who did the walking tours in Berlin were all British guys, and they would all just be like, this is what this apartment complex is where Hitler ended his life with a bullet and cyanide. How did Hitler take over this country? Like, just yelling, just all day, just reminded of World War II, reminded of how the city that you live in right now was torn apart by bombing raids and of Red Invasion. Like, every single day you have like these tours that just talk about probably the worst thing that ever happened in humanity. Like, it's got to be depressing.
Yeah.
And that's also German culture, though. I mean, because like Prussian culture, like a lot of it comes from Prussian culture, which was very militaristic. And I mean, school, like a modern day school system, came out of Prussian culture.
I mean, the
It was
word
called school,
kindergarten.
Kinder. Yeah, like all those school terms that we use right now, they all come out of Germany, Prussia specifically. You know how school was like they started school because it was called school.
Schul.
Schul. Yeah.
Schul.
Yeah, Schul.
Schul.
So they during like the Franco-Prussian War, it might have been before it. I think it was a Franco-Prussian War when they started conscripting armies because after the Napoleonic, the Napoleonic Wars, um, conscription became a real thing. Like
Yep.
that was never a thing before that. Like
Yep.
people would, everyone who fought in the military was usually had money. Like it was like an honorable thing to do, and you went there for a career, and it was a fun day to go fight in war. But Napoleon changed the game. He started just conscripting people, and other European countries started adopting that afterwards because, like, I mean, how are you going to take? Even if you have a professional army of 50,000 men, you're gonna lose to an army that has 800,000 men. So
You're also the technology just kept getting better and better and better. So like you just needed more people because you're gonna lose more people much quicker.
Yeah, just need more people for the logistics to handle all the things like trains and rail
supply lines,
lines and medics and all that stuff and artillery and mechanics for machines and stuff like that. But we're losing. But
the Germans. We're coming back to the Germans.
So like the normal everyday peasant who would be conscripted into the army, they would often run away and battle. They'd be like, holy shit, I'm a farm guy. What the fuck? Bullets, bombs, artillery. I'm getting the fuck out of here. And that was like a big problem in the 1800s. So they realized that it was because of the culture. So they started to train young, or at least indoctrinate people to love the homeland at a very young age, so that they would be willing to fight and die for the homeland when they got older. So that's how those are the origins of Schul.
Schul. One last thing I have to say about Germans is that they many Germans don't have the same concept of personal space that we do. So when you speak to one-on-one, they'll often be
throw
like
their dick out in front
of you. Basically, I mean they come up real close. I noticed that like a lot. Like,
hey,
like it feels like they want to kiss you or some shit like that. It's like, yo, bro, back off, give me some space. And you take a step back, and they'll just step forward. It's awkward.
That's German history. Take a step back, and they step forward.
Yeah.
Oh man, imagine if Germany wasn't clipped from the wings.
Okay, that's a loaded question. After World War II,
it is a loaded question.
Yeah, after World War II, I don't know. I don't like to imagine that.
It's like it's a weird thing to imagine.
There's a whole lot of reprogramming that needed to happen after that, frankly.
Yeah, them in Japan both.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's a weird thing. It's hard to really contemplate and go in without like really thinking about it hard. But what if Germany wasn't annihilated? Like, I mean, Germany was destroyed twice.
Yeah, at least
twice in like a 40-year period.
Yeah.
But so something that happened. So speaking of World War I, World War II, something I found very odd, and this will be the last weird European story.
Cool.
So this kid, this German kid, started apologizing. We were hanging out at the bar. He was a nice kid. He was like a couple years younger than me. He was like 22.
I'm very sorry for World War II.
Exactly what he was doing.
Oh man.
He started apologizing for World War I and World War II. I hear my girlfriend coming right now. Hopefully Dan lets her in. Shit. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. So there was this German kid who kept on apologizing for World War I and World War II, and it was really awkward.
Yeah,
it was very, very awkward. We were like having fun, and we were drinking, and like we were like talking. We were talking about politics. It was like all about politics and Merkel and like the European Union. And he finally, like at the end, at some point in the night, he's like, we're so sorry for World War One and World War Two. We are so ashamed of it. All this, and I just, we're so sorry for all the pain and damage that we caused. And I was like, dude, you're 22 years old. Your parents weren't born.
Yeah.
Hey, 1 second. Like, your parents weren't born, and it was just very, very awkward.
Well,
So
it's pretty starkly contrasted against like this phenomenon that goes on where, a lot of, at this point, a lot of World War II veterans are dying and things like that. But the phrase is Opa war kein Nazi, and it means grandpa wasn't a Nazi, right? And it's like everyone's denying that their, direct relative was involved in anything nefarious. But when they die, you go through all their shit to start, the mourning process, and then you realize, oh shit, yeah, grandpa was a Nazi. But this guy, he's like blindly, maybe his grandpa was a Nazi, and he just had, his grandpa just died, and he realized his grandpa was a terrible person. So so he decided to apologize on his behalf. But I challenge you, the next time you're in Europe, how about you just go to a pub and like find yourself like a nice European and be like, I'm so sorry about, Iraq 1 and 2.
Not in Europe. Just be like, hey, I'm so sorry for about indiscriminately bombing your cities and killing so many civilians.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap this up. All right. Peace, everyone. Oh yeah, guys. Scott Horton interview. So the Scott Horton interview went really well.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube only though. So if you guys are listening on iTunes or Google, go to the YouTube page to check out the Scott Horton interview. It's 2 hours long, so I decided just to put it on YouTube. It's insane. It is like just an incredible interview. So check that out, and make sure that you go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. We're trying to grow it. I mean, we've grown a little bit, but like we're still trying to push this thing out. We have more content on the YouTube channel than we do on iTunes and Google and Stitcher and all the other platforms we're on. And if you haven't rated the podcast yet, then what the fuck are you doing? All right. Peace. I gotta go.
Peace.